But
Right, right, Brittany.
that's the same. But if you just compare to even today, the things that they only tell us half the truth,
Mm-hmm.
and you got to dig for the knowledge. Just like, it's like, oh, well, Jesus came to die for our sins. That's not necessarily true. He came to really tell us how we supposed to live.
Exactly right. Yeah.
And y'all wanted to bury it. Jesus didn't come to start no religion.
Mm-mm.
He didn't start no church. It wasn't none of that. He was just wanted to let you know, hey, you're very powerful. You can do a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? And then they took a lot of things out of the Bible so that we wouldn't know. And
Exactly.
even right now, they didn't tell us the truth about school.
Right.
They're not telling us the truth about food. They're not
Mm.
telling us the truth about the government.
Other thing.
So it does fall in line that everything that they said, they told us, we really got to research because it was probably something else. Even the story that they tell us about money, it's
Mm-hmm.
really just a tool. It's just energy, and it's God. You know what I'm saying? And money was just a tool that He created to help us. It was never something that we were supposed to go around chasing. So,
Exactly.
anyways, back to Medusa because we could go on and on about all the lies that they put out there to us. So
Yeah, but Medusa was one of the big ones, and it wowed me when I started doing research on it. I'm like, what? They didn't tell me this. I did not know this.
I
But
did not know.
and I could relate to Medusa. Like
On a
my
lot of different levels, people can, yeah.
yeah, my
Yeah,
story, my now story,
yeah, right. My
Yeah.
then story, my now story, my
Mhm.
2 weeks ago.
Right, exactly. Like, and I would have loved to know, like, if there is some kind of history on Medusa before she was even with Athena. And I would
Right.
love to get, some background on Athena on what type of person she was before she was ever even introduced to Medusa.
I don't
And
know
what
if they ever I don't know if they ever went into that story on the before she was with
right,
Athena.
right.
I'd like to find out. Yeah, yeah, I would like to do some investigating and find out on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they just start even the little bit of videos that I watched, they started off with her and I'm sorry, the lady that you just mentioned. It doesn't mention about where she was born, but she has to have a history too.
You're right. Exactly. Yeah. And I wonder, like, if they were mentioned, but they were up under a different name. Like if they just gave him a name like they did Jesus. We don't know if that was his real name, But
Right.
if they just gave him a name, what if they had a different name in the beginning?
And like the
Mhm.
name Medusa itself, it sounds scary and creepy. And
It does, doesn't it? Like that. I don't think that couldn't have been her name. It had to
I
have been
don't,
her name.
yeah, it was like, I think they gave her that name. It
Yeah.
sounds like because she was so beautiful.
Hmm.
And you think of the name Medusa, like, I don't know nobody now to this day that is named Medusa. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right. Unless they gave themselves that name.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
right, right. Unless they gave themselves that name, right? But I don't know of no child that was born was like, yeah, this is Medusa.
Mm. Right.
But
But
yeah,
go ahead, Gloria.
no, I was just gonna agree, like, but somebody that did the history on it and knows the background of it, and then they decide to call themselves, Medusa. So, but
Right.
yeah, you're right.
Hmm.
Which the story between Medusa and Athena in general, that in my opinion, is probably one of the worst parts of the story.
Yes.
Where you're betrayed by somebody that you trust. I don't think Medusa's story ended when she was violated. It broke open it broke it open when the women with power looked at her pain and chose something else. She could have helped her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
The whole story could have been different.
Hmm.
I mean,
yeah,
she did not cause what happened to Medusa, but she did decide what it would mean.
Exactly, Brittany.
I mean, but where was? and then it was like, you know, even back then, I know you can see or feel, I'm not see, but you can feel a woman's energy or her brokenness. Like
Hmm.
like where was it was like almost that was blocked off that you
Well,
couldn't see.
and that's the thing. In the earlier episodes, we had talked about the fact that Medusa never spoke up. She never said what happened to her. Um,
Mm,
Athena was the goddess of wisdom and power. I do believe. Was that correct? Right.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Um, so she just knew that something had happened, and she was angry because her temple was violated. And I do need to take a second and apologize to any listeners. I'm sick. I have a sinus infection, so you may hear me coughing and stuff here, but we'll get through it.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
Medusa never did speak up, and like she didn't tell anybody. So not only did
mm,
she not say anything, she was still betrayed anyway. She was still mistreated anyway.
wow.
Um,
Mm.
and that's why I mean, there's so many different layers to the story when you really start um, digging into it. I mean, I'm glad that you finally took the time to dig into it and read some of the actual all around aspects of Medusa.
Yes, because Medusa was great, y'all. Like,
Yeah, I'm glad too. And like I said earlier, had you not brought this story up or the subject up, and whoever is going to watch the repeat of this, they probably thought the way we did, like she was evil, and you never dug more to even know more about it. And so, me and my 55-year-old self, I'm just learning about her story because you just hear, the stories of the past and just to find out that it's not true. And then to learn that, she was violated and how women today are violated. And not just from men, like even from their own family and friends sometimes.
And
right.
that's why this episode, this aspect of it, we've talked about the very trigger warning things and different things like that. And then when you get into when the women don't believe women, you know what I mean? And we're not here to shame women for that, but this wound has been passed down obviously for
Yes.
years through over and over and over. Um, and it doesn't necessarily have to be about the assault, an assault in the same form that Medusa went through. It could be anything really. I have been on both sides of that story where I have not believed another woman and I should have. Um, and I have not been the one to be believed. Um,
Mm.
so um, that's where, like you said, the vibe, the type of person they are, the whole situation. If you stop and really listen, really take a minute to listen and take your own personal feelings out of it. Athena was mad, so that's why everything turned out the way she did because she was angry. But
Yeah,
I
but
think angry for the wrong reasons.
but okay, so what's her name? Athena?
Athena, yeah,
Athena. She was mad at Medusa, but why was she not like what was her relationship with the man that violated Medusa?
he was a god, and Athena was a goddess.
So you're gonna believe the God over.
Yeah, and I think that was part of it. That was part of why it happened the way that it did because he had a higher level ranking. He was more of an authority than
Right.
Medusa was. So
Yeah,
it's
but it wasn't like this man was her man or anything like that.
right.
And just because he was a god doesn't mean like what he did wasn't possible. It wasn't impossible. And then you see this woman is broken, so something happened to her.
Hmm.
But I don't think they ever talked about how she reacted or how she felt toward Poseidon. She was mad at Athena. She was that mad at Athena, out the gate on the situation. And Medusa was silenced, and she was, wasn't silenced by what happened to her. She was silenced by what happened after, in my opinion. Um,
Yeah.
she didn't even get a chance to speak.
Yeah. Maybe she was just, mad at the fact that she didn't say anything. You know, I know sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, that may have been, she may have felt like, Medusa betrayed her in a way because she didn't come and tell her what happened in her temple.
So I do want to ask you, ladies, something since we're here and we're talking about this very touchy, emotional subject. If you've ever been in that position, did it cost you anything when another woman didn't believe you?
I'm But I can. So I want to appreciate you, Brittany, saying that you were on both sides of it.
Yeah,
Like a woman came and told you something and you didn't believe it, and then you told them something and they didn't believe you.
right.
I haven't experienced both sides of it. I only experience. I'm thinking that I'm being a friend and I'm going to my friend and explain and sharing what I saw with my very own eyes or what that person has said to me. And I think that I'm being a friend and kind of giving you a warning about this person, and you turn on me and make me to be the bad person. And that's why I said, and that for me, I was just telling Miss Miranda, and that's where it comes in. Don't shoot the messenger. You know what I'm saying? I'm just coming to deliver a message or warning, or just telling you to, watch out for this or pay attention to this. And you feeling like I did something. So I know for me, if a friend is coming to me, I feel like if a friend is coming and tell me something, I'm gonna take heed to that.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna bash them or make or feel no type of way. I'm gonna be grateful that they came and warned me about something, and so now I'm gonna pay attention to the situation. Um, and I think we all have been in something similar,
Hmm.
whether it had to do with a man or a child or anything like that.
What about you, Miranda?
Well, I've been in many situations like this, y'all. But it cost me not just emotional. It cost me personal. It cost me my sense of safety. It cost me trust,
Mm-hmm.
and not just trust in other people. It was trust in myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Uh, many, and I know many women, you know, probably describe moments like this as the point to where they just stopped speaking. I know I did.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they start to be careful with their words. And I also started being careful about the people that I was around. And then they, quote unquote, say you're too sensitive.
Yeah.
They call you too sensitive, or making it bigger than what it is. And yeah, in the Medusa story, she survived the violation, but what she didn't survive was the disbelief.
Yeah.
Right.
Tina's response to her, "Your pain does not matter more than order." It
Well,
had.
in the situation that I was in,
Mhm.
when I was that woman that didn't believe. I mean, just to, we've all been in that situation, but it's hard to admit when you're that woman that didn't believe another woman. It was a friend of mine's sister, actually, that came to me, and it was to tell me about my ex husband, that he was abusive. At that point in time, he'd been nothing but sweet to me, and I didn't listen. And he was. Um, so, like you said, the disbelief, it doesn't just hurt, but it teaches you can't trust yourself. So it cost me that sense of security in relationships for a little while, where um, always waiting for that other shoe to drop. Because after me and my ex husband got married is when he started to change. And I should have believed her.
Mm.
So that's where you get it, where it teaches you, where you can't trust yourself in those situations. When you get in that, when you're on the other side of that, you had all the warnings. But it's real easy to say, oh, that's just his ex girlfriend, yada yada. It kind of like Glow said, the jealousy, whatever the case may be. And yes, I was young and I hadn't learned, but it taught me a lesson in life to never make that mistake again.
Exactly, exactly. And can y'all agree that the deepest hurt isn't always what happens? It's just realizing or feeling that you're alone in it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
what it was for me.
yeah. That I mean, I guess to take a step back and look at the whole situation. Um, where do you feel the disbelief most strongly in Medusa's story so far?
Ooh, ask that question again.
And Medusa's story so far, where do you feel the most like where are you basically where are you so strongly like I can't believe that happened, and the most disbelief in her story so far?
Well, for me, it's the violation. That's the disbelief for me. And I mean, I know it happens, but for her to be in Athena's care, or to be in Athena's temple, you would think that she would be safe. That's the disbelief
Yeah.
for me.
Right.
Shoot, the disbelief for me is how they just told that story all wrong all these goddamn years.
Yeah.
You painted her out to be, mean and evil, and if you look at her, you're gonna turn to stone, which is true, but it they never shared until now. Like if you don't learn for yourself and you just go by what somebody tells you, I think I think when I started learning about it, it was that for me. Like, what? They didn't say that she was beautiful. They didn't say that she had gorgeous hair. They didn't say that she was pure. They didn't say she was living in the temple among the goddesses. Like, they didn't say any of that.
Right.
They just painted her out to just be this evil woman that would turn you to stone when you look at her. And I
Exactly.
think didn't she go hide herself to live in a cave
Yeah.
to stay away from everybody because she didn't want to do that to people?
Yeah.
And it only happened when you came into her presence to mess with her.
Mm.
And that's exactly true. And that's what, the situation that she was turned into. Because I can't even say that she wasn't believed because she never spoke up. She never
Yeah.
said anything. They just automatically assumed and they blamed her for it, for, whatever reason. And then, she was, left in a cave by herself, with all these stories being told about her and all these rumors flying here and there. I mean, there are several women in this day and age that have been in that exact same situation.
Mm-hmm.
They go into that period of isolation, and you know, um, Athena represents what happens when women are rewarded for protecting the system instead of people.
Mm. And you know what? Now that you mentioned it, I do remember in the story that she never told on the man.
No,
She never mentioned who it was.
uh-uh. Yeah, she never spoke up. Again, because Athena was the goddess of wisdom and power. She just knew.
Well, where was her wisdom at?
Right.
Yeah.
So I do have a controversial question, more than likely, because I know it is for me in general. But we had to throw it out there every once in a while just to shake things up. Um, what would Athena have risked if she believed Medusa?
Athena would have risked her position. She would have risked her power.
Would she
Uh,
though?
her, I feel she would have.
You think so?
Yeah, I feel she would have, because her reaction to Poseidon would have set off. I feel it would have set off more gods, or goddesses.
Like a war kind of thing?
Right, kind of like a war, and it would have meant breaking the rules were that they had in order.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
So, but why did it have to be all of that? Why couldn't it just been Athena, if I'm pronouncing her name right? Why couldn't she just have been able to just? Because it wasn't like you could do anything to punish that god. Why couldn't Athena just believe Medusa and just help her through the situation? Counsel her or be a friend to her. Not that anything necessarily had to happen to somebody else. Like if okay, so it was like, all right, a punishment had to happen to somebody, so they just punished Medusa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But believing Medusa would have meant standing against someone powerful, and
Yeah.
maybe more powerful than her.
But what? Okay, but wait a minute, I can believe you and be your friend and comfort you through this. Why
Hmm.
do I? Why do I have to believe you and then something has to happen?
Oh, so you're saying she could have believed Medusa without causing a reaction?
Yes,
Right.
that yeah,
Just been there as a friend to friend support system.
right.
Right.
Like why did something? have to, there was already damage done to one person, so all right, we're not going to cause no more other damage. But now that I notice, like, now I'm more aware that this guy would just come and just take whatever he wants to take, even and with no repercussions. But now you're more aware, so you're gonna watch over your people a little bit more. You're gonna be
More vigilant.
more, yeah, more
Yeah.
vigilant, just like the sheep over, a shepherd over his sheep. He knows that there's, other animals that's going to come and try to get you. You're going to watch over your people, your flock or whatever. But I don't feel like nothing necessarily needed to happen. But now you have this woman that's broken. How do you build, because she's already broken. You causing a war or causing more damage, that's not going to heal her heart or heal the damage that was done to her.
Right.
She was already broken, she was already damaged, and now you cursed her and made her into something even, eh, even ugly, to face basically what she was feeling inside. Now that's how she actually looks now.
Hmm.
And maybe to try to, well, kind of like with what Miranda was saying, and thinking of how things in power play out today. Women are not allowed to have those feelings.
Mm.
I wonder if it falls into that. Because then we're soft and we're emotional, and the titles that women get when you're in a position, a position of power, and you start to show any emotion of any concept.
Mm.
Um, so maybe it could fall under that. I mean, back then, yes, there were several other goddesses other than Athena, um, but it doesn't mean that the same patriarchy doesn't exist then.
All right. I think Jordan was had something to say.
I feel like in a way, Athena may have taken it personally, even though it wasn't Medusa's fault. I feel like because it was in her temple was desecrated. She took it personally, the whole attack, but
Yeah.
she wasn't able to go after the person that she really wanted to. So she went after the quote unquote little guy. Unfortunately, that was Medusa. But the reason why I think it was personal is because she not only turned her into the Gorgon, but ultimately at the or in the end, she played a major role in, Medusa's demise.
Hmm.
She is the one that gave the shield to Perseus to, to shield the Gorgon glare, or I'm sorry, Gorgon glare and things like that. And so like I feel like she was just felt smited in a way, and so she wanted that revenge. She wanted that, she was angry, she wanted to take that out on somebody and was unable to take it out on the person that she wanted to take it out on. And so like her anger was misguided.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think this still shows up today, y'all, when women stay quiet at work and families and churches, their communities, because it will cost them their stability, money, protection, or their sense of belonging.
Right.
So they
Hmm.
turn the other way.
Yeah.
And that's like, going with what Jordan said, giving Poseidon that shield, later on, because she was the goddess of war. And I don't know if Gloria knows this one yet or not, but she had Medusa's face on her shield after
Mm.
she was turned into a Gorgon as a sign of protection.
Hmm.
Mm.
I need to get me one.
And and the reason that was going what you were saying, with women in power and stuff. That's why what did she fail? Because survival inside the patriarchy often demands to distance yourself from women's pain for that reason. Could she not show that softness about her without some uproar in the higher ups?
I think a lot of times women feel like it's easier to stay silent than to speak up, because there is so much that comes with speaking up, whether it's about your own situation or a situation that you know that somebody is in. It's easier, and unfortunately, people of this day they take the easy way out, because it's less painful. It's less, you've been through so much already, regardless of your situation, that sometimes going through more trauma, regardless of what it is, it's just, it becomes not worth it at some point in your brain. But, that's one thing that I want this podcast to really really emphasize for, all the women that are listening is that, it is worth it. Just because your brain is telling you that it's not worth it doesn't mean that it's not worth it. Right now you're just tired.
Well, and Athena's silence shaped Medusa's fate just as much as her actions did.
Mm-hmm.
She could have spoke up. She was, right up there with that man that, did what he did to Medusa. I would like, I would, if I was in that position, I would.
Yeah, me too. Yep.
So when does the silence stop being neutral?
Mm.
That's a good question, Brittany.
Mhm.
Athena is not a villain. She is a mirror.
Yeah,
That's what Athena is. She shows us what happens when women are taught that survival depends on distancing ourselves from other women's pain.
right. Right, and that's what I was talking about. That with her being in that higher up position, does she have to distance herself from that, um, and have that lack of empathy because she is in that higher up position, or was she
Mm-hmm.
just a vicious person? Was she a villain? You know,
Right.
Mhm.
I think she was kind of. I think she may have, been on the little softer side, but I feel like her ultimate goal, she turned into a villain.
yeah,
Yeah, just point blank. Period.
yeah,
Hmm.
and maybe it was a little bit of how I guess a better way to describe it. You know how sometimes when you're hurt, it comes out in anger,
Yeah.
and maybe that has a little bit to do with it too. Like like Jordan said, when she was part of the Medusa's demise ultimately by giving him the shield that helped kill her. Um, all that sadness and hurt that she had internally was coming out as anger. She was angry at Medusa for things that she had no control of. She was angry at Medusa for being the monster that she turned her into.
Mm.
But how do we know she wasn't internally beating herself up for that?
That's true, Brittany. That is very, very true. But I know I did want to say I don't Athena's silence, it did not, I don't think it protected Medusa. It sealed her fate
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yes.
Yeah. And silence told the world that Medusa's pain did not matter enough to disrupt that order. But
Right.
and then for the judgment, often it hides behind um the words like faith or surrender, or just the more feminine types of word,
Right.
like you were saying, Brittany, the labeling part.
Right.
Yeah.
Or even like with the judgment, saying both sides, both sides. Well, I mean, there's right and there's wrong in some situations. There's not always a gray area.
Right.
Sometimes there is. What that man did was wrong,
Hmm.
and what Athena did was wrong. We can go over all day um, on why she might have did it, why we thought we might have done, but the way it was handled is just wrong.
Right, right. And I got a question for our viewers. Has someone's silence ever hurt you more than their words?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
like for
please.
them to put that in the comments. Has
Yeah,
some
yeah. Please comment, reach out to somebody, whatever the case may be on that one.
Hey, there you go. Yep.
Ooh, yeah,
Um,
I think you should ask that question again.
Has someone's silence ever hurt you more than their words?
yeah,
Mm. It has for me, most definitely.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, because then it was like I like when you asked that question because then it jogged my memory because then I did have a friend that was like, "Well, why didn't you tell me?"
Hmm.
And I was like, "Cause you wouldn't have believed me, so I needed you to find out for yourself." Like, wow,
which
But
leads
she
me to my.
she
I
did
mean,
feel hurt though, didn't she?
yeah,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I think about it, yes. But then it does put you between a rock and a hard place. You
yeah.
don't know if should I tell this person, but the last time that I told this person this, they didn't believe me. So then why would I tell them this? So I'm just going to stay out of it.
And then when they find out that you knew and you stayed out of it, then they're mad at you anyway.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well, now I learned that I don't. I'd be just as shocked as they are when they find out something, whether I knew it or not. I'd be like, what?
Right. And sometimes that's what you have to do because you hear these things and I know we've all been in that position where you hear something about somebody, it's like, oh no, oh no, oh no. Should I not? Should I not?
Hmm.
But we've come in a world today, and that like the main topic of this episode is when women don't believe women. Oh, she's just hateful, or she's bitter, or she's jealous, or she's this or that. No, girl, I'm trying to help you.
Hmm.
But that very rarely comes off. These days is they just really want to help me, and that there's a fear inside of all of us. I think at some point in time when those situations arise, um, I don't really know how to put a label on that one. The fear that you get inside. Um, should I or should I not? Should I or should I not? Should I speak up? Should I not speak up? You know, um,
Right, Brittany.
yeah.
Yeah, I had that. I struggled with that so many times, and it was hard for me to even speak up because I was always quiet to begin with.
Mm,
But when things happened to me and I said something about it, it seemed like I was being punished. So
right.
I kind of just stay quiet. It was like a lesson learned, is what I
Yeah.
felt. Like if I said something, then I was going to feel bad, or they were going to make me feel bad, or I was going to
Right.
Hmm.
get some sort of something was going to be done, some sort of consequence. So,
So in those situations, though, when has the silence hurt you more than the words did?
When has the silence hurt you more than the words?
Like in those situations where we come up and we're in that, do I tell? Do I not tell? Do I say something? Do I not say something? Um, you know what I mean? When we come in those situations, has there been a point in time when the silence hurt you more than actually saying something would have?
Are you okay? So are you? Let me see. Are you looking at it from the person that stayed silent and didn't say anything?
Yes.
The person that stayed silent and didn't say anything, how does that hurt them?
Now, how did it hurt? How did the silence that you kept, like you didn't speak up and you didn't say anything, how would that silence hurt you more than actually speaking the words on whatever the topic may be?
I don't know. So I guess maybe you could. I can say for me, it didn't hurt me at all.
Right.
Like it was like, ooh, I'm glad I didn't say anything. Ooh, I stayed out of that mess.
Yeah.
Because it just happened to me recently, and I didn't say anything, but it still unfolded because everything in the dark is gonna come to the
I,
light.
I was getting ready to say that as soon as you said everything in the dark comes to light, and
And
that's okay. It doesn't have to hurt.
well,
It
yeah,
doesn't have
and
I
I
can,
think I was more grateful that it came to the light without me being the one holding the flashlight.
yeah.
right. Hmm.
And in this situation, again, I act like I was just learning about it when she learned about
Mhm.
it. And then for me, I was glad that I was just glad that I was not in it.
Right.
Because then they come then when you say something, then it comes back with more questions and more questions and more questions and more questions.
Right.
So, but I like that. When's if the silence hurts you more than speaking up?
Have you ever been in that situation, Miranda or Jordan?
Yeah. Well, I'm, maybe coming from a different standpoint with it, but it hurt me whenever I told someone what happened to me and they said nothing.
Yeah.
They said nothing. It wasn't that I didn't say anything. It was just that once I said something to them it stopped,
Yeah.
and nothing was done about it. So, and that hurt more than that hurt badly
Right.
because I knew nothing was done about it.
Which I think we touched base on that last week too. That you weren't
Exactly right.
a
Yeah.
couple different times that you weren't protected in those situations where you should have been protected in.
Right.
Right.
So
And it
then,
was like, what was the purpose of even telling you?
right.
Exactly. That's exactly how I felt too.
Like
And that,
you,
and that goes to back to when I was saying that it kind of made me lose trust in myself, and so I stopped speaking about anything. You know, yeah, I was
Jordan?
in, I was in shutdown mode.
Right. Well, you go into survival mode. I talked about that on my live that time.
Right, exactly.
That your
Yep.
body will go into when you stop trusting yourself, your body will go into survival mode.
Yes.
I don't know if she heard me or not.
Um,
Jordan. Oh, there you go.
kind of going from a different perspective of the question. Um, I have been, total disclosure here, I have been in and out of therapy for 25 years. Um, I believe the reason why I've been in and out of therapy for 25 years is because I'm just now taking it seriously.
Yeah.
And in that, there's been a lot of very things that have come up that have brought, some very big feelings. But I'm actually talking about them. And in talking about them, it's allowing me to start healing. You can keep things buried down and, push them as far down as you can go. And it's not going to get better until you start confronting the things that are making you feel that way. Regardless of what it is, regardless of what situation you're in, it's not just gonna go away. Trauma demands to be felt in, whatever position or whatever situation you're in. It's going to be felt, and if you face it head on, then you're able to kind of do that in a controlled way where it's not just so much on you, but you have to feel those feelings to be able to heal from those feelings.
Right. Absolutely. So, in your opinion, ladies, and this is a question for all of us, which I want to start by saying that Medusa herself wasn't punished because she was a dangerous person. She was punished, in my opinion, because her pain it disrupted the illusion of order. Everything's that everything's calm and cool, collect, everything's fine. What happened to her? It disrupted that. Um, and so disbelief is a learned behavior, but so is belief. And so when we get in those cycles, it's hard to overcome them. So the next question I have, next topic I want to touch on, the cycles that we as women and we inherit them. So what do you think the cycle, or how do cycles of doubt get passed from women to women in your guys' opinion?
cycles of doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. How do cycles of doubt pass from women to women?
Just like the things we've been talking about, those I didn't believe her, she didn't believe me. Those those continue the same story between Medusa and Athena. How does it continue to get passed from woman to woman to woman?
Well, I don't know if this falls in line, but I guess for me, even with my two girls, and because of the situations that I have been through, I have taught my girls to stay out of it, just stay out of it.
Yeah,
Just and I don't and now listen to this story. I don't even know if that's the right thing.
yeah.
You,
And
you,
I mean, that goes like one thing that I've taught my nieces and nephews and stuff. When you just talk, I mean, and it's not close to the same thing that happened to Athena. It has been brought up quite. It's a problem these days is bullying. If you're being bullied, you're not going to be in trouble at home if you stand up for yourself. If you stand up for somebody else that is being bullied, then you're not going to be in trouble when you get home.
mm-hmm.
It's the same concept in my opinion on that one. And I think you're on the right track with that one. Glow is that it gets passed from woman to woman, where that feeling will just pop up out of nowhere, automatically, and it's real easy to turn it from a um angry situation instead of an empowering situation. When
Mm-hmm.
when stories start getting told and getting involved.
I think there's a lot of like social comparison situations too, maybe like peer influence.
Mm,
Like in environments where women compare themselves to others, whether it's about their appearance, achievements, relationships, whatever, those doubts can be fueled and they can be transmitted from person to person. And so, when one woman expresses doubt or insecurity, others may internalize, the same sentiment, which perpetuates a cycle. Not to mention, like there's media portrayals that often reinforces specific standards of like femininity, success. When women internalize these standards and express doubts about meeting them, those doubts can influence others, especially if they feel pressure to conform already.
right. And just to put it out there just a little bit. Now, not all women are there that are Sometimes those stories are a fact. When they come and tell us that, they're being just that. They're being mean and nasty and vindictive. So you
Mm-hmm.
do your homework first. Do some research on the situation. Don't automatically assume that they're coming with that cold hardness and that nastiness. You know what I mean? It's not always like that. Sometimes it legitimately is just a somebody being mean and nasty. Sorry, I had an important message. Um, because at the end of the day, we can all become Athena when we choose safety over sisterhood. So in those situations, you do have to do your homework a little bit to find out, in my opinion, which way they're. I mean, to make sure you don't get caught in that cycle where you're doubting another woman just on reflexes. You're already, thinking they're there just to cause trouble. Sometimes they
Mm-hmm.
are, just to, um, but at the end of the day, this isn't about blame, it's about the awareness of the situation. Where women support women in different, for different reasons. And even when they get in those situations to where there is one that's trying to start trouble, because it will happen. Um, it's not a blind loyalty, to believing in another woman. But it is a starting point.
Mm.
So on that one, with that being said, I have another question for y'all. I'm sure you're loving my questions tonight, aren't you, Glow?
I do, I do, I do, I do.
Okay, so this is for Glow and Jordan. And if you haven't noticed, Miranda had to step out. She's not here right now, so that's what the message that I had to get. Um, so what changes when belief comes before judgment?
What changes when belief comes before judgment?
Yes, if they were to come to you and tell you something, regardless of the situation, and you believe them right out the gate, and they not one of the women I was just talking about that are there just to start drama and trouble, legitimately come to you with whatever the situation may be, um, and you have belief before judgment.
Hmm. That's well, if you believe that person, then there wouldn't be no judgment.
Right,
I mean, the judge. I think your belief stops right then. Either you're gonna believe that. Wait a minute. So wait a minute. Either you're gonna believe that person or you're not.
right. That's what I'm saying. What changes in the situation when the belief becomes before the judgment, where you don't always think, "Oh, she's just here trying to start trouble. Oh, she's just this, she's just that." What shifts then?
I think it.
There's no right or wrong answer. So I mean,
Yeah, I
it's
think it would be. I guess if I'm putting myself, I think it would be. I guess for. Oh, excuse me. I guess for me, it would be like gratitude, and you would look at that person, as a true friend, or that is there or has your back or support,
right,
versus when you do go to that person, wait, when that person comes and tells you something and you believe what they're saying to you, then you're thankful and grateful that
right.
they came and told you. But like,
Eh,
that's pretty deep. Why are you coming with these deep questions, boy? You really gotta think.
that because that's the point. But see, I've been in that situation before too. On the flip side of that coin, where and this was before the ex husband situation.
Mm-hmm.
Where and it's a girl that I went to school with off and on my whole life, but we weren't really friends and we weren't enemies. We just, we weren't in the same, we didn't really talk.
Mm-hmm.
And she came with my best friend to my birthday party, and the weekend before my birthday was is Halloween. And my boyfriend at the time had told me this story where this person and that we had known for a while, a big old long story anyway. Um, and so when she came with my best friend to my birthday party, um,
Mm-hmm.
I heard him over in the corner talking, and I seen him rather. And I went over there, and she told me that the weekend before she had seen my boyfriend at um, a haunted maze with another girl, and I believed her out the gate, and we've been best friends ever since. So you're right in that aspect, in my opinion, where trust it can turn into something amazing. But she
Mm-hmm.
let my sister know, and to this, I didn't ever question it. I never questioned whether it was true or not. She was telling the truth. I found because it blew up from there. Um, but I had no doubt in what she was telling me,
Oh, good.
and now we have formed that sisterhood. So, um, and here it is, 25 years later. So Jordan, do you have anything on that topic?
I was just gonna say, when belief comes before judgment, it can lead to a lot of misunderstandings. You're filtering kind of everything through a lens. You might think, you're being objective, but really your beliefs are shaping your perception more than you realize.
And that is a different take on it. Yes, that is definitely a different take on it. So what does the belief look like in real life? Not just in theory. What does which I gave you my opinion on it with, what happened with a friend of mine. We built this, sisterhood over time. So what does that belief look like in real life for everybody? Because it can't be like that every time. I know that.
Right.
I think it's situational, the more that you get to know the person themselves, the more you are able to trust that person and you're able to trust your own judgment as well. And so,
There you go.
if something were to
Jordan,
come to you,
Jordan, I don't know if you're muted on part of that or not. I couldn't hear you.
oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I was going to say, it's situational. The more that you trust the person that is like if somebody were to come to you, the more you trust that person, the more you trust yourself, the more you trust your intuition, things like that. I think it all depends on how comfortable you are in change as well. If you are resistant to, like in your situation, your friend told you about your boyfriend. Well, oh no, no, that wouldn't have happened. No, no, no. That's you're resisting any kind of change in your life. You're resisting any kind of information, taking in information. And
Right.
so I think, you have to be in a situation or a position where you are comfortable enough with yourself and able to trust yourself and your own intuition.
Exactly. What do you think, Lo?
Sorry,
Should
I
I
was
leave?
trying to
Oh, there you go. There you go.
yeah, there get out the door. I gotta take my daughter to practice, but I don't that was pretty deep for me. So it really has my brain wheels turning.
And if you don't have an answer right now, that's
Yeah,
okay too. That's
I
totally fine.
don't, because I was like, how is Miss Brittany coming up with these deep questions?
And going by that, and with me telling a little bit of my backstory with my sister is that sisterhood begins when the skepticism ends.
Yeah, I
You know,
like that. I
the
like
the
that.
the, the point of this particular episode is the sisterhood and the women believing women. We don't heal Medusa by rewriting a myth, but we heal her by refusing to repeat it. If we hear that story, no, we're going to stand behind them. Now, granted, and again, to play devil's advocate again, not every story is 100% accurate, but until you have the proof to verify otherwise, then you stand behind them. So we don't repeat the situation. Um, the heartbreak within the heartbreak is when women turn on women, but the healing begins the moment we decide not to. I'm not going to automatically attack this woman until I have verifiable proof that she is not telling me the truth.
Right.
And that was and in closing, and I want our listeners to take away in this, and say it to yourself, say it out loud, put it on a post-it note. I choose to believe I choose to listen, and I choose sisterhood. Because with everything we're going through these days as women, sisterhood has to be at the top of the list. If Athena had believed Medusa, how different would the story be? And what story would be choosing to tell now? So I think, unless Jordan and Glow, if either one of you have anything else to say, I think that will end it for today. Either one of you have anything else you want to say about the story or this topic before we close out?
I would just like to say that, to our viewers, there has been a lot of sensitive topics or sensitive information that has been given tonight. Um, we appreciate you coming and listening, even though it may be difficult to hear. I want you guys to know that, we are a safe space. We are safe people to come and talk to should you need to talk to anybody. And, your mental health matters. Don't put yourself in a position just to listen to a podcast, if you're not mentally there. But don't let yourself get stuck not being there. We as women are here to build women up. And that goes for everybody. That goes for all the women out there that need that little building up. But listen to yourself as well.
Absolutely. Okay. So,
Brittany, I'm sorry. Can I just say a few things really quick?
oh yeah, go
I
ahead.
want all the ladies out there listening, including the men, if they ever, went through a situation where they felt unsafe,
Yes.
like they weren't heard, you do not need to convince anyone of your truth. Protect your safety first, emotionally and physically. Set boundaries instead of explanations. And, like Brittany said, write things down, keep records of it, and share your story only with the people who earn your trust.
Yes. And I think that is all we have to say this evening, you guys. Check in with us next week, where we continue on the Medusa story for this series. Thank y'all for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Appreciate it.